Hi there, it's Shannon Huffman Polson, and I want to give you a few tips on how to get started writing your book. I get asked this question all the time, and I'm the author of two traditionally published books. The first is The Grit Factor, Courage, Resilience, and Leadership in the Most Male-Dominated Organization in the World. That was published in 2020 by Harvard Business Review Press, and the memoir North of Hope, A Daughter's Arctic Journey, published in 2013 by the Zondervan imprint of HarperCollins. So both traditionally published books, as well as a number of essays that are published in literary magazines, articles published in magazines. And that's my very first tip to you. My very first tip, if you are interested in writing a book, is to just start writing and to think about writing some shorter pieces for outlets that might have to do with the subject matter of your book in the long run. That's going to be a really helpful way to start to look at what's out there already and how it's being presented, but start to write shorter pieces to begin. The second thing is look at a way to join a class or a workshop. And there are a lot of places that are doing this online now, especially since COVID. One that I love in Seattle is called the Hugo House. They do virtual classes as well as in-person classes. And Grub Street out of Boston does the same thing. I'm sure that you can find other excellent places to do this. These are the two that I know. I have personal experience at Hugo House and would recommend their courses very much. And when you join a course, you start to learn that there is this craft that takes you well beyond the English major that you might have been in college or the essays that you've done earlier. So number two is working on your craft in the context of a course. And that course doesn't actually have to do directly with your book. It could be writing poetry. It could be writing memoir. It could be writing just about anything. It just gets you into the writing and into the craft of writing. The third thing is to read a lot, to read widely, to read across genres, and then start to really focus in and hone in on those books that you really, really enjoy and also that you might want to emulate. And as you read more and more of these books, start to look at how they're structured. Look at how the entire book is structured. Look at how chapters are structured. Look at how sentences are structured and see how they vary from book to book to start to give yourself some idea of how it is that you might present the ideas that you're hoping to offer in the book that you'd like to write. The next opportunity is to then find a writer's group. And a writer's group is really a very personal thing. This is a group of people that works together. You can think about this also as honing your craft, the same way that you might join a runner's group to train for a marathon, or you might join a gym to really work on getting stronger. A writer's group helps you get stronger at those writing muscles. And you do want to find a group that you really relate to, where you enjoy the people, where you enjoy the company, but find a group where you can trade off some of the writing that you're doing week to week. It can be both accountability as well as some really excellent feedback. As with anything, you take the feedback that's helpful and say thank you, and don't take the feedback that's not helpful. But it's also a great way to start to look at how you critique others' works and how you can bring that into critiquing your own, which is always the harder part. The next thing is to sign up for the email at janefriedman.com. I don't know Jane, but I have a huge amount of respect for her. And when anybody tells me that they want to write a book and they want to understand more about publishing, it's such a I want to say nuance, but I would really say it's this opaque sort of a world that is constantly shifting and changing. And Jane Friedman has her finger on the pulse of it. Again, I don't know her. I have absolutely no connection to telling you or recommending you to join her newsletter, but it would be a very, very helpful thing to understand both the process of the writing, part of the marketing that you're going to be expected to do as an author one day, and how to start to build those platforms, how to start to understand your place in the world as an author, which is a whole different way of interacting in the world. The next couple of tips are fairly simple sounding, but much harder to actually do. And that is to make sure that you're reading every day, and you're writing every day. You cannot write unless you read well. And I don't think that I had a full understanding of this for years into the process of writing. But I once had a professor say that you should read at least 10 times what it is that you write. So 10 times the number of words, 10 times the amount of time. And that seemed so excessive to me. And now I think it might even be a little bit conservative. You have to read and read and read. So make that time in your schedule to read, and read widely and read well. And when I say that, I mean across genres, but also make sure that you're reading a diverse group of authors, so that you're not reading people that are all having written their books in the last couple of years. They're also reading books from the 19th and 20th centuries. You're not reading all white women authors, or all Black women authors, or all white male authors, but you're reading from authors that come from a diverse group as well. So you want to both diversify the genre of your reading and also where those authors are coming from. Finally, just a reminder that the more you read and the better you read, the better that you write. So that's just a last tip that will kind of pull together that very first bit and that very last bit. But it's an exciting journey to write a book. It's a wonderful thing to do. Remember, ultimately, once you sit down to actually work on that book, it's going to continue to evolve. It's not something that you can plan out the way you plan a PowerPoint presentation, at least not in any decent book that I've ever read. So it's going to be something that you may start to plan out that way, and then it continues to take shape and evolve as you begin to add stories and you start to think about that. You start to synthesize those ideas in your head. It really is something where you have to let the creative process come into play, but also then work to put some structure around it. And if you have questions and comments enough, I can put another video together that talks a little bit about how you can start to play that game. It is a little bit of a game, but it's one that you have to just give yourself the time and commit yourself to the process to really be able to engage well and know that you're going to be able to serve your readers by offering them your absolute best. I'm cheering for you. Best of luck.